Malian forces in Anéfis, where they seriously subdued the FLA, which a lot of people saw and they were very, very glad. But what we have right now, the Mali is currently dealing with is more sinister. Mali won the fight on the line of contact, but now they have to win the fight where it matters, and that is on the information field. You know, because what certain countries are doing right now is that they are making sure that their mainstream media that project the interest of their deep states is sending a sort of disinformation campaign against Mali, out there. And if you look at the way the information ecosystem of Africa is, Africa most of the time is being targeted. What Africans are getting is not information. Africans are not being informed. A lot of times, Africans are being targeted. I want you to establish that right now. A lot of times in this Africa, on social media or whatsoever, you are not getting information. What you are getting is a target material. You are not getting information. You are getting a target material. So I can postulate that Africans are being targeted with different media weapons. Information, when thrown to Africans, are weapons. They are not information that educate the mind. Mali won a war, a brutal, gruesome war against some mercenary forces that were funded, supported, backed, politically backed by the West. This is clear. No, there is no point in making up this all. We don't mince words here. We are going to say it how it is. If we cannot say it how it is, then information is, this whole information thing makes no sense anymore. These people were funded and backed by the West. Because if you look at their capability, people that can hardly feed themselves, where did they get all those equipment from? We saw different footage. They had intelligence, they had operators on the ground that were backing them up, but still, the Malian armed forces did not give up their position and they won the fight. They won that fight. And according to foreign media, guess what they said? They said the FLA they said they lost some of their good sons. Who cares about a terrorist? Whose son is a terrorist? It's so funny. So that is why I say the new phase right now is the epistemic warfare. But moreover, I don't go about listening to what is being said on Western media. Look, the type of ecosystem where we exist, like I said earlier, information is not information. Information to an African mind is a weapon. That is the way the people that control the platforms, the people that control everything, is a weapon that should be thrown at you to form a certain narrative that you must go with. Because Africans are being seen as people with low IQ. So when you throw the weapon at them, the weapon is meant to sharpen them a certain way. And that is what we call epistemic warfare. There's some conversation we should not be having. There are some media sources we should not be listening to. Ibrahim Traore said it. General Abdurrahmani Chiani said it. That TV5 Monday. Look, anything related to French media right now is lies. Let's not call it propaganda. Propaganda is trying to make it look sweet, make it look somehow refined. There is nothing refined about those people we are talking about. These people need some civilization. To be honest with you, certain people need to be recolonized and civilized again. Because how do you come? We all saw what we saw. Thank God for the social media. Imagine the days when we had only the mainstream media. Imagine the level of garbage they would have downloaded into people's skull. Uploaded, rather. Now, they said that the Malians, I want to give you the framing of TV5 Monde. See, when TV5 Monde speak, Macron speaks. Don't let anybody tell you anything. When TV5 Monde speaks, Macron speaks. That is his interest. That is what they're trying to project. They said 30 Malian soldier falls in Anéfis. Do you get that framing? These people still exist in 1970. They are not even up to 1970, because if they are up to date, they should know that Africans no longer follow their own propaganda channels anymore. So when a naive individual that is not informed, an uninformed mind, sees this type of framing, you look at it like, oh, 30 fell in Anéfis, but there is no context. But if an African editor or an African, reporter speaks, and they want you to put the context, but they don't care about the context. And when you look at the manipulation in the description behind the headline, ladies and gentlemen, is diabolical. So for me, men like us we don't play with what we do. You know what I mean? The problem is I don't know. Look, I'm not trying to campaign against anyone. This is facts. So, some people, oh God, I did not even get this information, right? I didn't get the information because I'm too busy to get this type of information. Too many good informations are going up and down the place that I don't even know this channel called TV5 Monde. I've never heard about. If not for Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, we would never. In the Anglophone part of Africa, we don't even care about what that channel is. France 24, I don't watch that channel. I've never watched it before until I started listening to things about Burkina Faso. Then I started knowing that, okay, there was a channel called France 24. All this RFI, these are not popular media. I don't know why people are making these platforms look so popular. They are not popular because they tell too much lies. They cannot look, these medias cannot pronounce 3 things without adding a lie to it. It's not possible. It's not possible. They are going to bury the three words with 1 lie in between. That is the butter. The two at the anterior and the posterior hand, those are the bread. That is how they operate. So now, you see, TV5 Monde editorial choices in the aftermath of the Anéfis battle place them squarely in the middle of propaganda, disinformation, by framing. Now, let us establish what happened between July 4 and July 11, 2026. The Malian armed forces and their Russian African co-allies engaged in a week-long operation against the coalition of the JNIM and FLA Western-backed terrorist group. Now, after a very, very strong contest, thank you so much, Roxy Angel. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I'm going to appreciate you after the video. But right now, the steam is hot. Let me boil. Approximately 100 kilometers from Kidal, central Kidal city, right? The result, the coalition was defeated squarely. Look, I don't like to speak this language. My original language is Yoruba. I wish that everybody can understand so that I can express it in its deepest and purest form. When the FLA ran away from Anéfis, go and check the picture on African platform. Because when you look at the framing of the TV5 Monde, you ask, like, what world are these people living at? Look, one of the FLA, look at my position. This was how he had the vehicle. He could not even stay on the vehicle. The vehicle was running so fast that they could not hold him. He had to hold the vehicle like this from the side. Let the vehicle run into a huge gallop. He's off the vehicle. That was how they left Anéfis. And when you look at the numbers that left Anéfis, ladies and gentlemen, over 2,000 came to attack this time around. They were brutally subdued. They stayed believing in arrogance. They believed in arrogance. That is the level. I don't know. I can't call it manipulation. I think it is arrogance. They believe in that 72 virgin eschatology to the point where they had to debrief themselves on the battlefield that this 72 virgin story don't exist. Because at first, when the FPV drone and the fiber optic were flying, they stayed. I was like, man, this resilience has never been seen before. But at a point, they broke. You have not seen utter destruction of some level like that we can classify as empire real estate. When you see some level of devastation, whatever you believe in will leave you. And they ran away. Initially, they were transporting the casualties back. And I know a lot of you must have seen if you're following the African Core channel, you must have seen the funeral ceremony that they did in the Bobaji Mutar region of Algeria. You can see the funeral, how they buried their the JNIM did not even pick. They did not even wait to pick the corpses that were finished on the line of contact. All right? It was so devastating. And at the point when they broke, they ran for their lives, leaving everything they brought. They brought the BTR-80 tank, they left it. Multiple rocket-propelled grenade launcher. Who gave them this equipment, ladies and gentlemen? Some bunch of nomads? You think they have that amount of money? And somebody come and tell me why is Northern Mali not developed? You put development in a place where people will blow up anything and they will shout Allahu Akbar. See, this is what we call epistemic warfare. There are some conversations that you should not even entertain at all. That said, I'm going to get to something even more bigger before the end of the video. Now, after they were defeated in Mali, the casualty picture, as confirmed by multiple sources, including Al Jazeera, Reuters, and General Elise Jindao himself on ORTM, right? The farmer reported that approximately 30 soldiers were neutralized on the line of contact. That was what the farmer said. And they had 60 personnel. Thank you for joining the membership. I appreciate it. 60 members of the farmer, they got injured on the battlefield. Look, we are not dancing on the battlefield. It is not kabuki theater. You have to follow your instruction to the letter like you are a robot, and you might survive. Nobody said the battlefield, because you are a soldier, nothing will happen to you. No, it's the battlefield. See, anybody on the battlefield is a man. I'm not talking about man. It's a man plus man. Because they know the consequences of going to the battlefield, and yet they decide to go. Follow instruction and you may leave. The best of the best follow instruction, and still sometimes they might get neutralized by a rookie. You are not the best. There is nothing like the best on the battlefield. Anything can happen. It's unpredictable. But still, the Malian armed forces, they stood their ground. With all the foreign mercenaries that came with all the drone, the FLA were not the ones piloting the drone. The Ukrainian forces were the ones piloting the drone. But still, they lost. So now, FLA coalition, they said over 1,000 fighters neutralized in 8 days of operation. That was the Malian farmer report, the general staff. Now let me now give you why there is some kind of conflict between the figure of the African Corps and the Malian Armed Forces. The Malian Armed Forces recorded 1,000 enemy fighters neutralized. The reason why the African Corps said the farmer said 1,000 is because those were the bodies that were left behind that they could retrieve. 1,000. They were packing them in pickup trucks and they were taking them, probably mass burial or something, right? 1,000. That was the ones they left that they did not carry. So when you estimate the ones that, the ones that they took to Bog Baji Mukhtar, where we saw the videos when it was, look, the ones they went to bury was even, I can't even count the number of sites, for burial right there in Bog Baji Mukhtar in the southern part of Algeria. We can't count. Those were the ones. So add it to the 1,000 that was left. Then how do you account for the ones that were blown apart by drones where, it's smithereens? You can't pick anything. How do you estimate for that? How do you estimate for the ones that got caught in the Orion strike? Some came with an APC. I don't know where they got APC from. Armored personnel carrier. Very, very good tactical weapon, right? Mechanized equipment. They got blown. According to the Russian African Corps, all the personnel inside the APC, they were there. They got cooked. So how do you account for that? So the Russians said over 2,000. So when you look at all the values, the ones that they left behind, the ones that went to bury, the ones that were blown into smithereens, like when you look at everything, the figures are for real. So now that's KIA. We have not talked about the ones that were wounded in action. We've seen videos of some of them coming in the hospitals. They were helping them to walk. Again, because what happens when bullet touch some part of the spine, there is partial acute paralysis that happens. So they have to help them. They have to rehabilitate them for quite a while so that they can start walking properly again. The tactical medics, they understand how these things work. They know it. So they are now reporting all this. Now, approximately 14 armored vehicles were destroyed. 14 armored vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, how did the FLA get 14 armored vehicles? How did they bring in these armored vehicles? What country was the staging point where they gathered all these capabilities? These armored vehicles, none returned with the FLA. It's too heavy to run. If they withdrew from Anéfis, like they are claiming, how will you withdraw from Anéfis without withdrawing any of your armored vehicle? 300 motorcycles. Do you know how much a motorcycle is? The money for a motorcycle in Africa is enough to make you a big boy. If you are a boy, it's enough. Motorcycle is expensive. 300. Yet, some people will come and tell me Northern Mali is not developed. So all this money they are using to help them buy all these capabilities, why are they not using it to develop Northern Mali? That is a story that we are not even supposed to discuss. Why can't anyone now, how many people will you want to, those of you that normally ask me that question, will you want to go and build your house in Anéfis? Given the type of people that are there, knowing that any moment you hear Allahu Akbar and the next thing is boom, you won't want to. And that is why it's not developed. Why is Bamako developed? The people in Bamako are receptive of development. They accept it. Yes. So now the FLA itself admitted to have lost some of their best fighters. When we were saying this, they said it was propaganda that they lost a lot of commanders. I mean, prominent commanders that are at the highest level of the key chain, very, very close to Iyad Gali. They were neutralized. It was a complete decimation. That's the better language to qualify what we saw. The JNIM was nothing to write home about. Those ones, they were not accounted for. Nobody picked them up. Like, it was terrible. In fact, this morning, the JNIM wrote a communique. They were thanking the JNIM were, they were appreciating the FLA for the number of casualty they, they were like, you brothers, you fought well, regardless of regardless of the destruction you took. You know, those ones, their mind, you know, you can't. When you are talking about the JNIM, you are talking about some bunch of, you know, creatures that we don't know where they're from, right? They were appreciating the FLA for the number, you know, of 72 virgins. You know, that's what the number of 72 virgins they got in a single battle. That was not a battle, that was war. Because each of those days, there were different battles in different quarters. And do you know what it means? For you to fight for 6 to 7 days, right? Serious fighting, high intensity. It was like, and you did not give up a quarter. For Mali to have prevailed, it means that multiple battles were won. And the cost of this type of victories, they call it tragedy of victory, is blood. People will pay. Now, after this happened, according to information, the FLA admitted that they suffered the loss of the best fighters and the heaviest material and human losses in their history. That was the information that the FLA gave. Now, you see, a military force that retreats from the battlefield, abandons its position, loses over 1,000 fighters. And we were seeing kids underage, kids that are not even supposed to be anywhere close to the bells of what we are talking about. They are not supposed, in a sane world, you don't have that type of age going to the battlefield. There was one that was laughing under a tree. That one is a baby. If I see him, I adopt him. He's a baby. If I see him, I will adopt him. He's a baby. He's not supposed to be there. He was there. So this is to tell you, this is to describe to you the type of individual that people like Iyad Agali and the people that are propping him up, the type of individuals that they are. But to have been able to find the interest of France in this type of conversation is diabolic. It shows you how these individuals, how they see Africans. And somebody will come and tell me that France is not the problem. What are you talking about? How many 12-year-old, 10-year-old French kid have you seen on any battlefield? Even they are 16, 17-year-olds. But in Africa, well, you know, I don't really blame them because if you go to France, can you manipulate their kids to do the same thing? I don't think so. So it means that we have to go after certain individuals that are giving bad advice to our own young ones. And that's where the story of a cleric that have just been arrested in Niger, that's where it comes in. He was preaching normally, and suddenly he drifted from the normal preaching and he started telling people to start fighting for the ultimate fight. What is that guy, your 72 virgin and all of that? The people, they pulverized him from pillar to pole. And they took him to the military by themselves. They pulverized him real bad. Imagine preaching to people and everybody is like they are listening and they are good. And all of a sudden you said some things and everywhere changed. So that is the mission. See, that's the deal. That's the money right now. Now, according to I wish, let me tell you this. This defeat of the FLA and the JNIM is not a defeat of the terrorist group. It's a defeat of France. Do you think that French forces would have performed any better in that desert? You think they would have performed any better? Think again. A French force came to Diori Amani when the JNIM were looking for uranium. What happened to him? It did not make it past the first 3 minutes of the battle. It didn't make it. The JNIM were still better. I wish they were the ones. So now, according to the information that we have, which I want to quote again, The TV5 Mon now came out to express the opinion of Macron. This is the information. We should not look. See, now TV5 Monde editorial decision was to headline that 30 Malian soldiers killed in Anéfis. Look at that, look at that, look at that misinformation. 30 Malian soldiers killed in Anéfis. Full stop. No contest. Imagine somebody that does not have data. Let's say you live in some part of Africa where data is not something that you can easily, afford. But you are lucky, your data is so poor that the only thing you can see is headlines. But when you click, it won't load because it happens a lot. So the only thing that will fly in the mind of that individual that watch all this type of diabolic platforms is that 30 Malian soldiers killed in Anéfis. So it will look like the military are not capable, that their allies are not up to the task. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call disinformation. Not in a lie, but in a frame. And this is how, look, everything they told us, if you are not recycling everything they've told you, everything you've ever learned that was Western education, you need to go and sit down and, you need to call yourself, bring yourself to a table and start asking yourself questions. Like, how much deep have I gone in this propaganda? I know some people cannot return. Some people are not returning again. They are not coming back. The propaganda have become a part and parcel of them. They know. Look, this is part of the epistemic warfare, where at some point you know that certain things are not practical enough to be true. But you've been so long, so deep entrenched in it to the point where you say, I'm sorry. It's been there all my life, even though I know it's not true. What option do I have? I just have to follow. That's it. That right there, that's where they want you to be. You know what I mean? So now, 30 soldiers killed is a fact. But adding that number without immediately anchoring it in the outcome, that over 2,000 mercenaries were decimated in that high-intensity combat operation, is misinformation. Now, you see, a strategic victory, the liberation of a key town, because Anéfis, from Anéfis, you can project power all over the northern part of Mali. And you know that they are still present. The Malian armed forces are still there in Taudenit. They are there in Ageok. So, now, you see, the enemy withdrew. The transformer sacrifice into an implication of defeat. Now, the headline does not say Mali loses. It did not say that Mali lost Anéfis. That's not what the headline says. But the reader, especially the casual scroller, absorb exactly that impression that 30 soldiers got killed in Anéfis. Man, you see, that framing tells you everything about France. It is not my word. We are fighting terrorism. You are seeing, don't tell me that TV5 Monde can independently release statements. You've heard Macron say that he is used to supporting journalists. So that means he is in support. Look, the DGSC is in charge of what all the, some of your media correspondents that speak on this mainstream media, they are retired DGSC agents. In the UK, they call them the MI5. The intelligence arm is the MI6. It is in Africa that we don't have all these things. But, well, that is a story for another day. That is not what we want to talk about right now. But we are beyond that level already. So they should do better. We are beyond all this Mongo Park level. We want something. We want something that can test us mentally. Let us, confuse us. This is too easy. This is too easy. The type of people that should get this information and go with it are people that, you know, they are in the village, people that don't even have access to the internet. Those are the type of people that this type of information is meant for. Now, 1,000 terrorists neutralized from the according to the farmer. They did not talk about that number. They did not talk about it. They buried it. Now, if it appears at all, the frame select the cost of the state while erasing the cost of the harmed group. This is not neutral journalism. It is editorial warfare by omission. It is not by omission, it's by commission. Now, listen. Do you know what they now called they call them great songs? They call them armed rebels. When they were trying to attack Gaddafi in Libya, they called terrorists, the same Tuareg terrorists, they call them rebels. Mali is going to be the end of that adventure. Honestly, I'm being honest with you. The pattern across the French media says it all. Fessino Ouattara, Vice President of the Defense Commission of Mali National Transition Council, explicitly called out French media. Now, what did he say? Naming them trash media. Now, this is what the Malian, listen again, this is what the Vice President of the Defense Commission of Mali's National Transitional Council explicitly said about French media. He called them trash media, mouthpieces for terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not unfounded allegations. Are they not mouthpieces for terrorists? Have you not seen Wassim Nassar, a terrorist Lebanese? A terrorist, Wassim Nassar is a Lebanese. We have seen him on France 24. We've seen the spokesperson of the FLA terrorist group. We've seen him in Paris on France 24 and on some of their independent media. This is what he called them. And the proof is out there in the pudding to back up that conclusion. He's not just saying some things that are unfounded. So listen, this is why I have problem with a lot of people. Because I think there are some people, which I think the number is increasing now, they like jumping on bandwagon. What do I mean? When you hear certain narrative, you don't even bring different pieces together to like, okay, this is my position. Some people don't have position. Some people, like, when they just see that multiple people are saying certain things, they like to jump on it. Let me give you one fact. In Nigeria, that was yesterday, some terrorists were captured. Guess who was their leader? I have this information from the defense headquarters. He's on X, a Palestinian. Wassim Nassar have been waging war against Mali on the social media. He's a Lebanese. I am not going to accept anyone telling me that all Lebanese are not like that. No, I'm not going to accept that narrative. You see, we are past that page where somebody will be like, all of them are not like, says, no. We didn't go to their country. Have you seen an African person go to bomb Lebanese? Have we talked bad about Lebanese? But yet these people come to Africa to come and foment chaos here. So when Israel pour fire on people, you can see that you've hardly heard me condemn Israel like that on this platform. I cannot do it. I will not do it. I don't want, look, I'm not part of those people that want majority to carry me up and, no, don't worship human beings. Don't worship human, have your own mind. They are the ones that know the problem they have with Israel. And they are sorting it by themselves. But I'm not going to support these individuals. Because what they do in Africa is even worse. In the World Cup, an Egyptian player, Mohamed Salah, lost the ball. The referee the coach started doing his hand like this. Everybody that understand football knew that they took the ball from him. He started saying say no to racism and profiling. What do you mean? You lost the ball in the box. But you see, when they are oppressed by certain group of people, they want to behave like they are African. But they claim that they are Maghrebs. Man, that's not the story for today. Wassim Nassar is a Lebanese. Have the Lebanese government condemned this individual? They are terrorists. They are. Everyone will get what they deserve. I repeat, I am not going to help anybody. You have your, see, it is your opinion. When you give your opinion about Israel, it is your own opinion. But your opinion don't have to have, see, your opinion should have nothing to do with my own opinion. I am reporting about media propaganda, right? That is the conversation we are having. And I'm giving you facts that Wassim Nassar, who has been tirelessly blackmailing Mali and praying that Mali should fall, is a Lebanese. And somebody will come and tell me that, oh, Israel should leave Lebanon alone. I won't tell you what I even think. Because if I break some things down, you will hate certain people more than, but that is, for community guideline, let's not go there. No Arab, no Maghreb can come and stand up in front of me and tell me certain things. I have too much facts. But I choose to keep quiet. So when Israel bombard these people, some way, I tell my partner every day, I said the people will definitely not want me to speak. They will be like, oh, that's what I call bandwagon. Some people hate Israel, but you don't really recalibrate and ask yourself, why am I hating? I'm telling you, some people, they have their justification as to why they hate Israel. Some people, it is because of religion, but they don't they don't try to look at the factors. Some people don't even have the facts. Let me tell you something. If the Maghrebs, if they have the type of opportunity that certain countries have, they will destroy Africa completely. Their own type of colonialism and slave trade was worse. Have you forgotten this? Let me not lie to you. Man, it's not for today. So now, you see, that's the complicity of the French media. When Farmer and African Corps advanced, French media headline, they talked about the casualty. When armed groups suffer catastrophic losses, those numbers, they call them footnotes. They be like, yeah, they neutralize some good songs of the FLA. And when the Malian army retakes territory, the narrative pivot to heavy losses rather than strategy, because they took territory. They destroyed the JNIM. And what happened after? It is the losses on the side of the military they want to project. We are past that now. So now, a single headline written this way may be editorial negligence. A sustained pattern across multiple outlets, all pointing in the same direction, undermining AES progress that expelled complicit French forces and rejected French influence, crosses into something else entirely. That is not negligence. That is complicity. So, France lost its military foothold in the Sahel. Its media organ is trying to dance their way around the whole thing. And the editorial line, from Paris, I like this line, from Paris, representing the interest of their president, has not adjusted neutrality. It has just picked a side in this war. So now, the takeaway from this is, the Battle of Anéfis was a Malian victory. The FLA and JNIM coalition, they were destroyed, they were routed, they were obliterated. In real fact, they were obliterated. When you neutralize, in 6 to 7 days, when you neutralize over 2,000, that's obliteration. That's the real language. personnel, not talking about the mechanized capabilities, right? That's complete decimation right there in Africa. Look for anywhere in Africa where you have this type of numbers in 6 days. From the home military, not from the enemy. It doesn't happen. It's not regular. So the sacrifices were paid, strategic down and Kidal retaken back under state control. Now, the headline that stripped the contest to serve an editorial agenda is not reporting. It is an operation. I told you, this operation is being coordinated by the DGSE. So, family, what do you think about the consistency of the framing of the geopolitical event that is moving in the positive direction by Western media? Since the AES have shifted away from their sphere of influence, don't say that the AES left France. They moved away from the Western sphere of influence. You are undermining the gravity and the capacity of that move. The temerity of the president, you are watering it down when you say they kicked out France. No, they left the Western sphere of influence. So now they don't take order from Paris. They don't take order from Brussels. They don't take order from Washington. They decide on their own terms. When they want to consult for a refined opinion, they don't sit among criminals in ECOWAS. They don't sit among presidents that steal their citizens' money. They don't sit among people that sit down to say they want to have a peace deal with terrorists. No, they don't do that. They sit among honorable men like themselves. You know what the ECOWAS leaders call them? They said they are lions, and the ECOWAS leaders are sheep. That was what one of the ECOWAS leaders said. Said those are lions. That was the statement that came out from Mudavadi in Kenya. Every Kenyan watching me now know the name. He said they are chiefs in ECOWAS, that they cannot sit down among lions. What will a common criminal, a drug bandit, what will you sit among the three Sahel leaders to talk about? You will even feel intimidated to sit among those men that carry that level of honesty. We are beyond propaganda. That is the aim of this video I just made. And you should be beyond propaganda. When people push certain narrative, don't just fly with it. Don't just fly with it. This world, you have little evil, you have big evil. Sometimes your biggest enemy might be the little evil. So when the big evil destroys the little evil, don't call the big evil much worse than the little evil. The little evil just don't have the capacity to withstand the brutality of the big evil. Are we communicating? So before you tag Israel bad, how many bombs have Israel dropped on your head? The last time I checked, that an Israeli fighter jet flied across Africa. He dropped all the bomb in the Maghrebs. I remember dropping the bomb in Tunisia. I remember he did not cross down to the south of Africa. He didn't do that. And who are the people that have been disorganizing Africa from the start? You can talk about the West, yes. They have a systematic way of doing it. But the people that have directly tried to seize lands from Africans, are the people you have in the Maghreb. What type of people go into people's graveyard? Telling you, if truly they are your ancestors. I want to give you a clarification right now. Something is currently going on in Egypt. They are excavating the graves of some of the people that have lived before. Some of them they call them pharaohs. Some of them are buried in their mummy designed coffins. They are removing the artifacts on their body. They are removing these people from the ground at a scale never seen before. They call it archaeology. They said, going back to the ancestry of Egypt, if they were their original parents, they won't do that. It's to tell you that there is a story about Egypt you are not being told. They are doing it because it's not their own land. They are doing it because they never belonged there. You want to call Israel bad? Look up north ahead of you. Who are the people currently, actively housing Iyad Agali and housing Amadou Kufa and Imam Diko? Mauritania, Algeria, Fezzan in Libya. So before you come and tell me that Israel is bad, if you say Israel is bad, you have your own point, you have your own explanation, and it's your opinion. But I am telling you, I am literally telling you, with all my intelligence gathering, right? Israel have not, that I know of, directly. Anybody that attacks you directly, on multiple occasions have attacked you indirectly. You might say that Israel have attacked Africans indirectly, but we've not seen a direct attack. And that indirect attack you're talking about is conspiracy. I have not seen it. They might lobby for their interest. They might do certain things, but they've not attacked African directly. Me, I'm speaking for the interest of Africans. I'm not trying to follow any conspiracy now. I have not seen. You can show me. The worst enemy of Africa, apart from the people that colonized Africa. Do you even think the West are the only ones that colonized Africa? Have you heard about the Arab conquest of Africa? This was a civilization that fell. The Arab civilization was a civilization that fell down flat. They turned Africans to eunuchs. I have Nigerians that married Israelis. I have a lot of them. I know them. Are you with me? So when Burkina Faso welcomes an Israeli ambassador, I know a lot of people that are criticizing Burkina Faso. They don't know anything about that relationship. You don't have the facts. You don't have any fact. Either you are an Arab terrorist apologist, or you are just jumping on the bandwagon of other people to condemn Burkina Faso. Can you imagine? See, a lot of people are not deep. They are superficial. That is why they can be easily washed aside. You call Burkina Faso good, and suddenly an Israeli diplomat came to submit his certificate of credence, and all of a sudden, to you, Burkina Faso is now bad. You don't even see. We don't. I always say something on this platform that we don't want cheerleaders. We don't need cheerleaders. They will be the first to fall when things get. See, it's like you are going to a war and you are gathering farmers. You need soldiers. We're not playing with this matter of sovereignty. You see me come here. You see the attack on my. You see the attack on my, what's it called? On my traffic, right? If you look at my level of analysis, my intelligence, my professionalism in creating videos, you will know I don't belong in this type of numbers. But for the sake of what we are doing, I absorb the number with joy. I'm not a fool. I have made videos for people that made hundreds of thousands. I helped them. So I know why I'm here. I am not for propaganda. My leader would not suddenly become a devil. A lot of people don't have the wealth of information that Captain Ibrahim Traore has. So if Burkina Faso welcome Israel, take it. Let me tell you something. Your friend might do something that is not good, and you tell them, you see what you did, I don't like it, but they have not suddenly stopped becoming your friend, if you know what that means. So ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy 7200 signing out. Enough said. But before I go, we're not doing cheerleading here. We're giving you facts, and the purpose of this video is to come and decompose the agenda of France once again after a great victory in Mali that should be praised, but they are trying to watershed it. It means that they already planned a script. They already planned a script. They were hoping that Mali was going to fall, but the script did not materialize. So thank you, and God bless you.